Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel, founder of a revolutionary medical sales training and mentorship program called the Medical Sales Career Builder, and I'm also host of the Medical Sales Podcast. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire world. It doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing and diagnostic lab, you name it, you will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 10% performer within your role, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. And remember, I am a medical sales expert sharing my own opinion about this amazing industry and how it can change your life. So Naz, I'm so excited to be talking to you today because you are a graduate of the Medical Sales Career Builder. I like to say you are one of our very own. And I think what's beautiful about the chance to talk to you today is you graduated from our program, you got the job of your dreams, you killed it, you got promoted, and now you are literally looking for someone to backfill your position, and you're looking at our students. But before I say any more, tell us who you are today and what you do.
I am the territory manager in Texas for Endo Urology for Becton Dickinson. I am in the OR a lot. I sell Endo Urology, which is surgical urology products to hospitals, mostly disposable products.
Got it. So, okay. So you're what I like to call you're in an elective position because your procedures are scheduled. So
They are. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, their kidneys, they're necessary, but they're scheduled.
They're scheduled. So I'll say medical device elective, and the elective is urology. So let's talk about it. What exactly are you selling? And then walk us through a day in the life. Like when you wake up, what do you do for during up to 12 and then after, yada, yada, yada.
So we sell almost every product, every disposable product that's used in kidney stone procedures, sometimes benign prostate hyperplasia procedures, from the guide wire stand, the scopes that they use to look in there, to balloon dilators, different types of catheters. We sell all of that. My day, it's different from day to day. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I cover a case at 7:30 a.m. And then at noon, I host a lunch to introduce a new product to a doctor. And then a lot of times in the afternoon, I have a meeting with someone from value analysis, because there's so many different aspects to our job because we sell to hospitals. There's the clinical side, which we need to get the clinical side, the clinical people, which is doctors, surgeons on our side to even have a chance at selling our product. And they have their own priorities. They care about patient outcome mostly, right? And also if the product is going to save them time in the OR. So once we talk to the clinical side, then we talk to OR people, OR manager, OR director, maybe a urology nurse. And those people care about efficiency, time management. They have the different priorities. We have to make sure that our product is a solution, provides a solution for them. And once we talk to them, then we take the proposal to value analysis or purchasing people. And their job is to save the hospital money. So we wear multiple different hats for this job.
Got it. And you're on a team, or is it more of an autonomous position?
So I'm the territory manager in my territory, and I have one associate.
What
do
they do for you?
Their role is, it's actually called a procedural specialist, which is kind of similar to a clinical specialist, but it's more involved. They're a little bit more involved in sales. So their job is to be in our existing accounts. They visit the OR a lot. They sit in cases a lot to make sure that things go smoothly. They run our trials, but also they grow the business from within the existing accounts.
So when you say they sit in cases and make things go smoothly, they're in cases by themselves or they're in cases with you?
They're in cases by themselves.
Got it. And you're the one that's always establishing business. they're only covering cases where you've already established business.
Yes, but the roles kind of are at a point once the procedural specialist is experienced enough, the roles blend in together a little bit. I do more cold calling and getting brand new businesses, and the procedural specialist grows our business from within existing accounts. So they're in those accounts to make sure that we maintain the existing business. But when you're in the OR and the doctor has a problem and you happen to have a solution for it, that's a really good way of selling. So they do add new opportunities to our funnel as well.
Got it. How often do you talk to your associate sales rep?
Every day,
Every day.
multiple
Multiple
times a
times a
week.
day.
Yes.
So it's like your sibling, like your
Oh,
close
yeah.
sibling.
I talk to my procedural specialist more than I talk to anyone else
Wow.
throughout the day.
Wow. And when you got your associate sales rep, did you have the option to choose? Were you part of their interview process or
I
not?
wasn't actually. The procedural specialist was here when I started my role, but we're looking for a new procedural specialist now, and I am involved in hiring the
Look
new.
at that. I mean, that's like music to my ears, you know? So again, urology, you're in medical device elective. You just told about the products you sell, the people you call on. Talk to us about this space. What happened? Maybe take us to a scene. What happened when me in your head, this transpired in front of you and you said, oh my gosh, this is what I do. I love what I do.
Yeah. So a moment, I think it's actually kind of, it may not sound like an exciting thing because we had a case scheduled at 11 a.m. for a trial that we had for a big health system. And I showed up at 10 just to be safe. I hung around in the hospital. A lot of times I do my admin work in hospital lobbies while waiting for cases to start. And the previous case ran too long. And I just stuck around. I stuck around. I talked to the urology nurse, the techs that were in the OR, and I spent 6 hours. So the case kept getting delayed 1 hour at a time. And I stuck around and I basically talked to everyone. I stepped out and talked to the OR manager, OR director. I went downstairs and talked to the purchasing person. And I mean, that was 6 hours of relationship building. And the case didn't start till like 5 or 6 p.m.
Sure.
And when the case was about to start, I was standing outside, just kind of giving the patient some privacy before they got draped. And the doctor walked in and he said, "You've been waiting for me this whole time?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's been 6 hours." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my job." So he's like, "Oh, thank you so much. I can't believe you waited." And he was so appreciative of that. And to this day, I have a really good relationship with that doctor.
Like that's
So, and that's when I walked out of that case and we did a trial for one product, but we got to talk about other products that we're potentially bringing into the hospital now.
yeah.
When I walked out of that case, I was like, "Oh, I love what I do. I love how I'm able to stick around and just wait for these people and no matter what, support them." And it felt really good.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. I love that story. That's cool. So you mentioned this case was at 5 or 6 p.m. When do your days typically end?
It depends. I mean, I have left the hospital at 7 p.m. I've been there are days where I get done at 4 p.m., get to do an hour or two of admin work and then I'm done.
Okay.
But it really depends.
Okay. And you would say that this kind of role, it's good for a family person because there's enough, I guess, work-life balance and autonomy to do what you need to do when you need to do it and still have time for other things in your life.
I do have time. I mean, I have a family. I do have the support, and I think it's important to have the support when you have a family. But yes, so my territory is actually a very large territory, but a lot of times I choose to leave I wake up at 4 a.m., drive 3 hours per case, have my meetings, make my stops, and then drive back home for 3 hours just so I can be at home. Sometimes if I have two cases 2 days in a row in like that are 4 hours away, then I spend the night. So on average, I'm away from home 1 to 2 nights a week.
Okay.
But I manage. It's doable. And a lot of people on my team have families
Sure. Sure.
and they manage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Okay. So talk to us, because before you became a medical sales rep, how long have you been in this position? How long have you been a medical sales professional now?
About 14 months ago.
So you graduated from our program about 14 months ago. And what were you doing before you became a medical sales professional?
Before that, so before I joined the program, I was doing dental sales, but I was doing it for a family business. So I didn't work for a big medical device company. I I was doing things on my own, which was cool. I learned a lot, just kind of making my own schedule, coming up with my own, figuring out my own day by myself. But I got my first real medical sales job with BD after I joined EYS.
Right.
And
So
before that, I was a teacher for years.
you were a teacher. What kind of teacher were you?
I was a high school science teacher.
So you were a high school science teacher. So tell us what happened where you said, I'm a high school science teacher. I do some demo sales when I have time for a small family business. I want to do something else. What was going on? What made you even want to go into this direction of medical sales?
So I decided I wanted to teach for a few years. It was never a permanent thing for me. I just wanted to kind of give back for a few years and then move on to something and a more rewarding career.
Sure.
So towards the end of my teaching years, I did my research and I decided I wanted to be in medical sales because I had clinical roles before. I had worked in a clinic before. I enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed talking to people, transferring my knowledge.
Yeah.
I kind of put all of that together and I decided I was interested in medical sales. I had a little bit of sales background too.
Sure.
And then when I decided to be in medical sales, I started applying for jobs. I started networking just a little bit, but it was so hard. I didn't get a single interview. So teachers understand this. As a teacher, if you want to switch careers, it's smart to quit teaching and go into something else. So I decided to quit teaching. And at the time, my family's business was looking to expand. And it was just an opportunity. There was an opportunity there for me to kind of work on my sales skills because it had been a long time since I was in sales.
Sure.
So I took that role. It was a temporary role just to kind of get back into sales. And I continued when I got that job. From the beginning, I was still applying to medical sales roles and nothing. But then I came across EYS and I was
How did you come across this? Tell us. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. And I want to let you know our programs cover the entire career of a medical sales professional. From getting into the medical sales industry, to training on how to be a top performer in the medical sales industry, to masterfully navigating your career to executive level leadership. These programs are personalized and customized for your specific career and background and trained by over 50 experts, including surgeons. Our results speak for ourselves, and we're landing positions for our candidates in less than 120 days in top medical technology companies like Stryker, Medtronic, Merck, Abbott, you name it. Would you run an Ironman race without training and a strategy? You wouldn't. So why are you trying to do the same with a medical sales position? You need training, you need a strategy, and you need to visit evolveyoursuccess.com, fill out the application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and let's get you into the position that you've always dreamed of.
I think it was on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. Okay.
I think I found you on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then I found EYS. And for a minute, I was like, this is crazy, right? I'm not going to join a program. Like, I can do this on my own. And then I did some research. I got on Reddit and people are you can do this on your own. I've been trying for like almost 2 years.
Right.
So then I joined the program. I mean, it took me a long time. I did my first interview and then I talked to my husband. I consulted a few people. I'm like, am I crazy? And they're like, maybe, but I'm like, I have to give this a try.
Yeah.
And then the way that you guys guarantee that if you do certain things, you will get a job.
Right.
You will get a job in medical sales. So I'm like, I knew I was going to be in the program until I got my job. So I'm like, that was very reassuring to me.
Sure.
I was going to have support. And then when I did my interview, they explained to me that I would get a mentor, that I would get mock interviews. Not sure if you guys do. It sounds like you guys do all of this and more now.
Oh yeah, we do a lot more now.
Yeah. And that there were going to be seminars where there were speakers and there was a lot to learn from them. There were going to be classes. There were mentors that tracked your progress.
Great.
All of that. I'm like, these guys know what they're doing. They seem very put together. So I joined.
Wow.
Yeah.
In hindsight, because I have so many questions, but in hindsight, I guess okay, the biggest question. What is the number for you? Because everybody has a different experience, right? What is the number one thing you can say that, like, you know what? Because I got this in the program, it was just a game changer for me.
Oh, yeah. So it's actually a couple of things. One, networking. EYS taught me how to network. I was doing it before, but I wasn't doing it properly and effectively. But the way that you guys taught me to network, I actually got so many different, and I was surprised when I got my first message back from an actual medical sales rep. I'm like, you have time for me? Well, I got people to talk to me. I was on the phone. One rep from Abbott, I was on the phone with her for an hour and a half while she was driving to cover a case. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of people to talk to me. And then actually it was through networking that I got introduced to Endo Urology and BD. It's a long story. I met someone in BD. I applied for a job, but then after that job, I applied for another job, but they knew me already through all the networking. That's how I got my first job at BD.
Right.
And then also the mentors. I was telling you, I called my mentor. I was assigned a mentor and I called them before every interview. And then after some of my interviews, just to kind of reflect. It was really helpful because I've noticed, so when you're already in medical sales and you're out there selling your product day in, day out and facing obstacles, you have your entire team to call on and ask advice. You have your manager and you have your manager that's invested in your success. But when you're out there in the world trying to sell yourself and get your first medical sales job, you're alone. And EYS gave me that support system that I needed.
Yeah.
It made it a lot easier to see things through and stick to my goal.
That's beautiful. So when you think about what medical sales was going to be when you were in the program and you're going to classes, you're working with our mentors, you're networking, you're meeting hiring managers and sales reps and all these people. Talk to us about what you thought it was going to be when you were in the program versus what it actually is now that you're an experienced, accomplished sales professional.
I actually got a pretty good idea of what it was going to be like in the program that I didn't have before the program, particularly those seminars, the EYS seminars, where we got a lot of reps, hiring managers, and even physicians that came and talked.
Right.
And I got a pretty good idea of what the environment was going to be like, what it was going to be like to stand next to a competitor in the OR, which is something that, happens to me. I'm standing next to my competitor in the OR very often in this job. I learned a lot about what physicians really want. And it actually, it's very similar to what I expected. There are just a couple of things that I learned from, so my first job at BD was in home care, and I was selling prescription medical. It was still medical device. I was selling prescription device to physicians, and I only called on providers.
Sure.
It was my only call point. And then once they were interested in ordering my product, if there were any obstacles with insurance, with ordering, then I would remove those obstacles for my doctors. But it was focused on providers, what providers wanted, what patients needed. And then after 6 months at that job, I started interviewing for the TM role that I'm in right now. And it's a completely different division. This is surgery, and we sell to, so we still talk to providers, we talk to surgeons because we have to get their buy-in. We talk to OR staff, OR managers, OR directors, and then we also talk to purchasing. So there's more that goes into this role than I had to deal with at my previous role. So that was a learning curve. I had to learn how to kind of switch hats, talk to providers, and they look at things in one way, and then talk to purchasing people which have completely different goals. So there's more, we deal a lot more with the purchasing side now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I learned a lot there after I joined, after I started my new role, that we have to actually put numbers in for purchasing people. How good my product is and the quality of my product, that's just someone else to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot of value analyses, and we put the numbers together for them and show them how much money the product could save them, or how much they could benefit from this financially.
Sure. So talk to us about, now you're in this space. What are some of the challenges? What are the things that you're thinking, man, maybe you didn't know it was going to be this type of challenge. Maybe you did know, but it's absolutely a challenge and you have to work through this consistently. Talk to us about what those look like.
In my current role, I want to say contracts. So when you're trying to work, especially with big health systems, a lot of times, your product is good. Your surgeons know your product is good, and everyone's on board. But then you try to close the deal, and they have contracts with competitors, with other companies. And a lot of times those contracts are so big that they're not just for my business unit. They're not just for urology. They're for everything. So another company has a contract that includes so many different parts of the hospital, women's health, urology, oncology, cardiology. So, and they want my product, but if they bought my product, then their prices would increase on other products. So that's the biggest challenge. Not to say that there's no way around it. You can wait for contracts to end. You can buy a hospital out of their contract. But that's been the biggest challenge.
So, yeah, contracting is real. And in so many medical sales spaces, the challenge is, like you just spoke to, is how do you get their business when they're already happy with whoever they're currently using? Outside of giving a whole full blown lecture on the acumen of how to steal business, what are some of the things that you can share that you've had to learn to do to even create those opportunities?
You mean with
With
to even
securing business with new customers that have contracts with other people, or have relationships with other people.
Yeah. So a lot of times, because we have such a large portfolio, a lot of times I start with hospitals who have tried our other products and are happy, who have a relationship with my company, with other reps at my company, or purchased some of my products even in the past. So there's some level of trust. I do contact other reps at my company a lot, and that's really helpful because they have connections. They know how to get a hold of certain people. They can introduce you to some of those contacts that they have. That's been really helpful. So a lot of times I use already established products, established contacts to get in and talk about my product. So a lot of times my first call point is the doctors. I just have to make sure that there's a need for my product. And if there and it always starts with questions. How's it going? What are you using? Are you happy? What are some challenges you're facing? And when you face these challenges, how does it affect your productivity? How does it affect patient outcome? Just to decide if there's even a need for your product. If they're perfectly happy with what they're using, they don't need you. And if they don't need you, you don't need to be there. But more often than not, there are challenges. And so you find out what they're struggling with. And then if you have a solution for their problem, then you offer that solution to them. You present the solution to them. And a lot of times, because our products are OR products, they have to be trialed. So we talk to physicians. If they're interested in a trial, then we talk to the OR and just kind of set up that trial. Make sure that we also take into account their struggles. So doctors said that this is the problem with this product. How does that affect you? How does that affect the flow in the OR? How does that affect time management? Are cases delayed because of these issues that your doctors are having? So then, so you try to solve everyone's problem with one product, right? And in the meantime, while you're doing that, you should also have a conversation with purchasing to make sure that you're not wasting your time in the OR. Because what if you do all this work and purchasing says, no, we have a contract with someone else,
Right.
or it's just not worth it for us. We're tied. This is tied to other products and we're not going to buy it from you. So there's so many different things that go into developing opportunity
That makes
in an
sense.
account.
That makes sense. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the money. Give us the range of someone in your role. What's the range of earnings for someone in your position?
It's 150 to 200.
Okay, it's 200. Now,
Right.
when you were in the program, I guess what I want to ask is, what does it feel like to imagine one day that you'll be in that range and then actually be there? You're living it.
I was taking it one day at a time.
Sure.
I just wanted to find a way in, just be in medical sales. When honestly, I thought it would take me a lot longer to get to this point.
Yeah.
But once you get in and you prove yourself,
Yeah.
because people are watching,
Yeah.
they know what you're doing. And if you're constantly in touch with corporate, you're constantly in touch with other reps to try to solve problems together, people know this.
Yeah.
And also your results are there, your numbers are there.
Yes.
And I couldn't have imagined that after 6 months, I would I would start transitioning into this role
Yeah.
with this salary.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's just, I love it. I love it. Okay. So you're a medical device elective urology rep, and now you're in procedures. And people are listening to this right now and they're thinking what they're thinking. What type of person should absolutely stay away from this kind of space? Like if you're not, maybe you can share this with, if you're not A, B, and C, this isn't for you.
If you're not patient,
Okay.
it's not for you. And if you're not persistent, it's not for you. It takes a lot of patience to follow an opportunity from start to close. It takes months, sometimes over a year in this space. because sometimes you're selling to a group of hospitals at once. Sometimes you're selling to a really big facility with a lot of decision makers. And I already mentioned, sometimes you have to wait 6 hours for one case, for one doctor who's going to weigh in on whether or not your product is worth their time. So it takes a lot of patience, and you have to be persistent. People, well, they're busy. These people have a job to do. They have so much on their plate, and they're very busy, and your emails get ignored often. A lot of times you call and they don't answer. You leave messages, you email multiple times. And then guess what? If you don't get a call back, then you stop by. And when you stop by, they might be too busy to talk to you. But it's you have to be persistent. You schedule an appointment. If it's a real opportunity and you know there's a chance, it takes a lot of patience and persistence.
Got it.
To be in this role.
Got it. And then you talked about how in a procedure, you're standing right next to your competitor. Give us that dynamic. Is it that you're friendly with your competitors? Is it you guys are evil-eyeing each other from across the table? Give us the dynamic of what it's like in your space.
Now, I heard crazy things. One of the downsides of this job that people were trying to warn me about was, they said, oh, a lot of times you're going to be standing in the OR next to your competitor that dominates the space, and that's intimidating. And I'm like, ooh, okay. But now that I've been in the OR and standing next to my competitors a lot, honestly, most of us are very friendly with each other. I have a lot of their numbers.
Yes.
Sometimes, that my doctor's looking for a product that I don't have. I'm like, oh, let me call this competitor's rep.
Sure.
They might have it. Vice versa. I think the technology that we have, a lot of different companies offer this technology, and sometimes we're all good. And this is the case a lot of times, and in a lot of different businesses and a lot of different specialties. We're all good, and sometimes it's a matter of preference. Your doctor should be exposed to everything, every technology out there, and it's for them to decide, right? So our job is to introduce the product to them. And honestly, we're all combined one big support system for people that save lives, right? So I don't see why we wouldn't be civil with each other. So most of us are very friendly. I even had a couple of other reps try to recruit me.
Love it. Because you're true talent, Naz. Okay. And then last but not least, you went through our program. You imagined it. I remember there was a class I jumped in on, and you were like, well, I'm a teacher, and I just want to know if it's really going to happen. And then it just warms my heart to see that you're living the life. So, last but not least, Naz, there's a lot of people listening to this right now that want to be in medical sales. What would you share with them?
Join the program. Join EYS. And I joined the program and I paid for it on teaching salary, and it was money well spent. I would do it all over again. It gives you the support system you need to not give up, to stay focused on your goal. And also, not just that, but it also gives you the tools you need to be good at your job. I believe that a lot of us that went through EYS carry a certain mentality that's rooted in EYS from the things that we learned from our mentors. Our mentors were some of the most successful reps in the industry. And that's priceless. Where else are you going to get that?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Naz, this is a true treat. I love catching up with my students, graduates, and you're killing it. And keep doing your thing. Keep being great. And thank you so much for being on the Medical Sales Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a customized and personalized program that gets you into the medical technology industry as a sales professional, or any type of role for that matter. Become a top performer in your position and masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolvesuccess.com by visiting our site, filling out an application, schedule some time with one of our account executives, and allowing us to get you where you need to be. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews on the Medical Sales Podcast.